You're listening to the voices behind Women's Cricket Chat. That's Hannah, Georgie, Cassie, Mahika and Alex. Coming up on today's podcast, firstly, I just want to thank everyone who was this week's guest. We had some really great guests. We had Matali Raj, Marizon Kapp, Sophie Devine, Alyssa Healy, Molly Strana, and the Siva Brunts. Unfortunately, none of you were correct. Our guest this week is the one, the only, Danni Wyatt. Now sit back and relax as Danni talks about playing for Southern Vipers under the iconic Charlotte Edwards and wanting to win the trophy named after the coach. And, you know, what it was like winning the World Cup in 2017 and then to be so close this year and to just miss out, as well as her ambitions to play in a test one day.
Today we are welcoming to Women's Cricket Chat, the one, the only, Danni Wyatt. Danni, welcome to the pod.
Hello, thank you for having me. I've heard a lot about this podcast.
Oh, good things we hope.
Georgia Adams is a big fan.
Oh, we're a big fan of Georgia Adams though, aren't we, Hannah?
Obviously, OG. She was the first one we did, so that's good. She's saying good things though, right? Good things, yeah?
Yeah, she loves you guys.
Yeah, we love her too. But we know I love the Vipers, so I mean I'm not going to be quiet.
Are you coming on Saturday?
I am indeed. I'm on the ECB stream on Saturday.
Oh, please say good things about us.
No, but it's when they tell you have to try and be partisan and you're like, well, I'll take my Vipers hat off then, literally my hat, and hide it.
Are you actually a Vipers fan?
Oh no, I actually am. Yeah, I have a hat and everything. See, there you go. And orange and everything. Yeah, no, I actually am a Vipers fan. Yeah, I've got a Georgia Adams shirt upstairs actually and everything.
Well, you can have a Wyatt one if we win on Saturday.
Oh, I could just have a whole team's one. I could wear a different one every day of the week.
Yeah.
We digress though. So obviously we're here to talk about you, not Georgia Adams today, because you can listen to her on a separate podcast. And you know, we've got to start things off with the biggest news in English women's cricket recently, which was the Brunt Siva wedding. How was it?
Oh, it was so beautiful. I was just so grateful that I could make the day. I was going to do the IPL, and then I did actually say to the BCCI, I said, look, we've got possibly the wedding of the decade happening. Whilst I'll be out there, is there any chance I could come home for it? And they said no. So then I said, okay, I'm not going then, because I would not miss that wedding for anything. And yeah, it was a truly very special day. Both Nat and Catherine both looked gorgeous, and it was very emotional, as you can imagine. Yeah, it was just so good to finally see them get married, because it's been delayed for about 2 years now. So they finally got married, and yeah, what a great day it was. And most of us had games the next day, so we couldn't go too big. But I think Amy Jones did. Amy did, because she had a game at 6 p.m. the next day. So she was like, right, it's fine, I can enjoy myself. And yeah, it was a really special day, and one that I won't forget for a long time.
And obviously it's Pride Month as well in June, so this is going to be coming out in the midst of it. And how important do you think it is that their wedding was kind of so visible and shared across the cricket world?
Yeah, I don't think there's too many people that aren't that comfortable with coming out, like on social media and Twitter. But I feel like Catherine and Nat are really big role models and icons. I think it's great that they don't care. And it's great for people to see as well. So I saw England Cricket posted it. All of us posted the day. And there was still the odd stupid comment that I had to delete, actually, which was a shame. You still get the odd idiot saying silly things. But that's the world we live in, unfortunately. Still got a bit of a way to go. But yeah, I think it is fantastic that it was so visible, and there was pictures all over social media for the next few days after that, which was great. And there was apart from the odd comment, there was a lot of nice, lovely, positive comments around, and that's what it's all about. You should be able to be who you want to be, and who cares if you're gay or straight or whatever. Like, you only live once.
I think they're the same kind of idiots that say things like women can't play cricket, that kind of thing. You
Exactly.
know, you put them in a certain box and you drop kick that box. So
Exactly.
And then obviously we've had, you know, you mentioned you missed out on the Women's T20 Challenge, Women's IPL, whatever we're going to call it for now, to be part of that wedding. But how big was that tournament and the idea of going forward and potentially a Women's IPL for the women's game and for you as a player and just to have more opportunities like that around the world. Because we had some of the England girls out there, didn't we? And they came out victorious. Shock.
Yeah, I think it's massive. I think it's going to be so big for the women's game once there is a standard women's IPL like the men's. Even if it is, 5 or 6 teams, like more than 3 will be amazing, because I've been lucky enough to play in the last few women's IPL challenges, and it's just not enough. Like, you go out there and play 2 games and that's it. So I do think there needs to be a longer, proper IPL. I think that'll be so good for the women's game. And there's so many T20 opportunities now from all around the world. You've got the Big Bash, the 100, the women's IPL. You've got Fair Break. I've heard about T20 leagues in America, Canada. There's just so much cricket now, and it's so good. Like, you can actually just play T20 cricket all around the world if you wanted to. So, yeah, I just think it's going to be really massive if there is a women's IPL, possibly next year is what they're saying.
Yeah, hopefully they do bring it in. But how have you found your experiences in India, especially because you've got a lot of Indian following? So first part of that question is that experience, but the second part is, how do you actually manage that influx of fans?
Yeah, so I think it was 4 years ago when they had the one-off game in Mumbai. So me and Danny Hazel flew out like 2 days before the game. I think I had Elise Perry, Sophie Devine, Megan Schutt. We had an amazing team, and we just flew out there, had one training session, played, and then flew back. And even that was just amazing to be part of, like the buzz of the IPL, because I've grown up watching the men's IPL, and like the buzz, the crowd, just like all the players love playing in it. So I think if there was an even bigger IPL, like a proper IPL, that would just be massive for the women's game. And for me personally, I have got a lot of Indian fans. Like, they're just so lovely, and they're just so passionate about cricket. Like, I think cricket's their number one sport out there. And I even get noticed walking down the street in Mumbai. They're like, "Oh, there's Danni Wyatt." And they all have photos, which is really nice, because you don't really get that over here. And they literally can't do enough for you, even when you're staying in these 5-star hotels. They're just so lovely, always asking if you want tea or some more food, and they just love cricket. And I love cricket myself, obviously, and it's just really good for the likes of me and the other girls to experience that, being out there. Even when I'm fielding on the boundary, you've got people throwing pens and papers at your head. They're like, "Danny, sign." A lot of them call me Danni Wyatt instead of Danni Wyatt, which is quite funny, but they just constantly throw pens and paper at you, which is all part of the fun, isn't it, I guess?
Yeah, because even doing a bit of research earlier, I put in your name and the latest news items, and the things that were coming up was straight away was like, Danni Wyatt's replied to this Indian player's tweet, and exchanges, and Danni Wyatt is best friends with such and such, and recent news. So I found that quite obviously funny, because you wouldn't really get that here.
Oh yeah, I have to be careful what I say, because that Virat Kohli tweet back in 2016 or wherever it was, people still go on about that tweet.
Remind the fans.
I said, "Kohli, marry me." So he hit, I think it was like 60 odd in a T20 World Cup, and I was at my mate's house at the time, and he was batting really well. And I just tweeted. Back then I used to tweet whatever I wanted. I didn't really think about what I was saying. And I was like, "Kohli, marry me, wow," or whatever. Like, as a joke, obviously. And yeah, I put my phone down, checked it 10 minutes later, and my phone was going crazy. Like, so many Indian fans were saying, "Wow, Danny wants to marry Virat." And I was like, guys, it was a joke. It was all over the Indian news. I had people contacting me. Yeah, it was crazy, and people are still talking about it now. So it is funny though, you've just got to laugh. And even now, like, I am friends with a few of the Indian cricketers, girls and boys, and cricket's a small world. If Smriti does well, I'll congratulate her, or Mitali, or Yuzi Chahal. And if I comment on their post, it'll be in the news the next day. So I have to be careful what I say.
It's because you're a big dog. It just comes with the territory. Obviously, the IPL is hugely prevalent in the men's game, and the idea of a women's one is massive. But when you were growing up and you were first getting into cricket, we didn't have all these massive franchises, tournaments, everything going on in the world for women's cricket. What got you into it, and how did you get inspired to carry on this far?
So my older brother, Ryan, he was playing down at Whitmore Cricket Club, which is just down that road. And I just went down to his training session. I was playing football for Stoke City at the time. I was probably better at football than cricket. And the coach said, "Danny, come and have a bowl." So I went and had a bowl. I just picked up like that. I didn't even really know how to bowl, but I just watched another boy bowl and just copied him. And the coach was like, "Oh, you're not bad." And I just really enjoyed it. I love, the social side of it and being with a load of boys. I was one of the boys back then. Went climbing up trees and doing whatever you do at that age. And yeah, I just went again and again. Ended up playing. I think one of the boys broke his leg or something, so they put me in and did really well and just carried on playing from there, really.
And you talk about obviously playing boys cricket. Did you have any experiences that were perhaps a little bit negative, or was it always positive?
No, not at all. I was literally one of the boys. I think it helped me because my older brother was in the team with me and no one would dare say anything bad to me in front of him. I'd like to think he'd stick up for me. But they were all the boys were from my school as well. So that helped as well. And I think it's a respect thing. I think as soon as, actually take that back. I actually played, I think it was one of my first seasons playing cricket, played against a club in our league, which is not too far from here. And I went out to the crease and one of the boys on the other team, he was like, "Oh, they've got a girl playing." He always got the remark saying, "Oh, there's a girl, they're going to be rubbish." And then I remember going out there and hitting a 4 and the boys were like, "Oh," and then they all stepped back a bit because they all come in close. And then as soon as you hit a 4 or you hit one really hard, they all stand back a bit. And I was a bit like, "Fuck you" kind of attitude. And yeah, I was always one of those girls back then that was a bit like a boy and just wanted to show them that girls can be as good as boys. And yeah, I wasn't really scared, wasn't shy of giving it a go and getting stuck in there. And if anyone said anything bad, I'd probably turn around and say something to them. So, but I do recommend girls growing up now, back when I was 10. So the girls coming up now, I always tell them to make sure they play boys cricket because I do think it toughens you up a bit. And obviously they bowl quicker and hit the ball harder at that age. So I think you do learn a lot quicker at that age playing boys cricket.
And then was it then that you realised you were going to be a batter rather than a bowler?
No, I was actually a bowler, I batted a little bit. I started off bowling seam, the waist swingers. And then my dad told me that I wasn't going to be able to bowl bouncers or bowl that quick because I was quite small. And he was like, "Why don't you take up spin?" So I took up spin and didn't really look back and I actually got into the England under-21 team as a bowler. I think I was leading wicket taker in the European Championships when I was 15, batted like number 9 or 10 because I was quite little. I still am quite little. And I literally couldn't get the ball off the square. I was that tiny and thin. And then as soon as I got into the England setup, they told me to get in the gym, did a few weights. And yeah, just out of the blue, my wrist started getting stronger because I'm quite wristy. And now I can hit a few over the ropes now.
Maybe just 1 or 2. Yeah, get in the gym, drink some protein shakes. Go and you'll be a World Cup winner. But just throwing it back quickly to that growing up around boys and playing around boys, was there anything you found difficult as a girl, especially at that age? You're having to wear whites, you're having to use different changing rooms. Was there anything that you really had to try and deal with at that time? Like, did you just have to go and change in the girls' bathroom on your own?
Yeah, because I played on a Sunday with the senior men and I used to get changed in the toilets or in the umpire's shed. But I didn't really mind that. And yeah, just the odd comment about, "Oh, they've got a girl playing." And I felt like I kind of had to prove myself around this area in South Cheshire. Once you proved yourself, like once I got like 100, everyone kind of, respected me and thought, "Wow, she can actually play." And then I didn't really hear any dodgy comments. So apart from that, I had no problem at all and just got stuck in there.
Yeah, because did you have many kind of female role models kind of growing up and stuff? Because I think from my experiences growing up, when you're around the boys and stuff, sometimes you internalize some of those comments and you're trying so hard to be one of the lads. You're like, "Oh, women's cricket, what's women's cricket?" Like, you don't realize it's an actual thing. So did you have any kind of female role models and did you kind of internalize any of that lad ban to yourself and did you have to unpick that at all?
No, I mean, I used to watch women's football a lot when I was growing up and I knew that they had an England team and you could be a professional footballer, but I never knew you could be a professional. Well, you couldn't back then, but I never knew you could even play cricket for England until I got into the county setup and people started talking to me about it. And yeah, role models wise, David Beckham was always my biggest role model and I just watched football all the time. But yeah, looking back, there was no female role models really that stuck out for me. I was probably always outside playing sport anyway, not really watching TV.
So you must have been excited by the giant David Beckham on Buckingham Palace for the Jubilee.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, it was like the highlight of the whole thing, you know. We
It
had
was.
Paddington, that was great. And then we saw the giant David Beckham face, and I was like, right, we can tick off Jubilee now and go back to normal. Maybe have another 3-day week or whatever it's been. I don't know what day it is anymore.
What a fantastic Jubilee weekend, by the way. I loved it.
Yeah, it was pretty cool, and especially because we had, 4-day weekend and all that. You mentioned growing up and then you got a bit stronger. You started to find a way into a few England age group things. How did it all come about that you then made your way through from there, young bowler, turned into a bit of a batter, to then where you are now, World Cup winner, Danni Wyatt?
So I got picked for Staffordshire when I was 13 and I got 300s in a row. And everyone was like, oh, she's really good batter who bowls. And then I played for the senior team, Staffordshire senior team, when I was 14, batting number 3. And I still really couldn't get off the square. Like I still needed to get in the gym at this point. And then I got picked for the under 21s, mainly as a bowler, could bat a bit. And then I actually got picked for England 18. It was my debut tour in India. I got picked as a bowler. But in my head, I knew I was always more of a batter. I just needed to grow a bit and do my thing basically and show off. And I remember Charlotte Edwards had a rest for the last ODI of the series and Nikki Shaw was captain. So I played. I think I got like knobbed for 20 off 4 overs and came in number 8 and got 28 not out. And that kind of proved to the England setup that I was a batter. And then in T20s, I was opening the bowling for a few years and batted middle order, starting to hit a few sixes. And then my bowling kind of went downhill. Like my lower back was hurting me a bit and my batting was just getting better and better. And then, it was probably 2016, 17 when I really showed everyone what I can do, showed the world what I could do with the bat. I was at that point I was playing for Renegades in the Big Bash and did really well for them with the bat and the ball actually. And then I went and did that 100 in the Ashes in the T20 that kind of made me as a T20 batter. And don't really bowl anymore. Well, I do, but I had a little bit of a shoulder injury last year, so I'm getting back to bowling now.
And before we come on to obviously all those mega seasons, just want to kind of flip it back to who was in your cohort when you were coming through those England ranks? Like who were the teammates that you were kind of battling against for positions and the ones that you enjoyed playing with the most?
I loved playing under Charlotte Edwards. She's a good friend of mine now and really lucky to be under her at Vipers. She's a fantastic coach. And then me and Heather Knight made a debut on the same day. So me and Trevor like this. Catherine Brunt, she's still playing. Nikki Shaw. And then there's Aaron Brindle. Can't even remember who else played. Jenny Gunn. Nat Siver, who still play now. I never, like when I look back now, I never thought that there was anyone in particular that I was up against. I kind of just trained really hard, enjoyed being around the England setup. And if I got picked, I was really happy and I just go out there and try my best. And I think as you get older, you start to learn what works for you. And I think back then I was way too over aroused when I used to play for England. I was all excited and giddy, whereas now I stay calm, relaxed, because I know that works for me. I look back at all my good performances and feel how I felt then and try and get those feelings back for every game, really. I think a lot of cricket is all in your head and how you prepare. And the cricket, if the cricket gods are on your side, you've got a good chance of performing well.
So now we'll bring it back to the England career. And so you kicked it off there. Do you remember how you felt on your debut and what it was like and how it went down for you?
Yeah, so my debut was in Mumbai and I remember it being so hot and really, like the air was so smoggy and we fielded first. And I remember just being so nervous. I was like, she's going to ask me to bowl and I'm so nervous. I don't know how I'm going to bowl. And then after the first ball, after I got it down there, it was fine. I didn't bowl that great though, but still did all right. And it got really hot and smoggy. And I remember looking around the field. I think Tammy and Heather played as well, and they were all coughing. And then I started coughing. And it was just the air. It was really weird. I thought the match was going to get abandoned. And I was like, surely this won't happen. I was like, why would this happen to me? Come on, surely not. And yeah, then I got the 28 not out, got my first run off. Julian goes warm down to third man. We was running in and I was like, I just remember smiling. I was like, like, I don't remember being that nervous. And I was just buzzing to be playing. And yeah, won us the game. So, and then I remember made my T20 debut like 2 days after that. It was like the first game of the series and I got run out for 0. So I went from being Don Bradman to Donald Duck. It was very sad.
I absolutely love that. And I guess that's a good moment to just bring up about form and stuff. How do you kind of bounce back when you can have an amazing time, especially if you're opening up, you could be hitting centuries, you can be hitting back-to-back 50s, but then when you don't perform, all of a sudden there's a lot of weight and expectation and comments about the women's team.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't make it in cricket because of that reason, that they can't cope with the failures. And cricket is such a fickle game. Like, it's part of the game. You're going to get out, you're going to fail more times than you come off, and that's just how it is. You just got to get on with it and accept it, move on, park it, learn from it, and yeah, just prepare well. And Mark Robinson said to me, I always remember what he said. He was like, if you prepare as well as you can, I was what 27, 28 at the time when he was coach. I know what works for me. Just keep doing all the basics and just give yourself the best chance to go out there and perform, and hope the cricket gods are on your side. And just, I think, really back yourself and believe in yourself that you can do it, which is the main thing, especially in T20 cricket. Because the way I play as well, I'm definitely going to fail more times than I'm going to come off, and that's just the way it is. And when it comes off, it's quite good, quite entertaining. But yeah, I think as you get older as well, you start to learn more about yourself, and then you start to realize that cricket's not everything. There's a lot more bad things going on in the world than getting out for 0 in cricket.
But luckily you haven't always been out for 0. You may have gone Don Bradman to Donald Duck, but you were part of that initial first tranche of ECB professional contracts for women. What was it like to be part of that? And it's a real moment in history that you'd already been part of the MCC Young Cricketers, so that had given you that boost that you needed, but to be part of that first layer of them really sort of paved the way for the future of women's cricket.
Yeah, it's one of my proudest moments, that actually, to be part of the first ever squad of professional women's cricketers. I can always say that. And I think looking back from then as well, the way women's cricket has risen is just amazing, and it's only getting bigger and better. I mean, you look at the amount of girls that are playing cricket now compared to when I first started playing. I was the only girl playing around this area. I think the real turning point as well was us winning the World Cup in 2017. That sellout crowd, it was live on TV. It got the whole country talking about women's cricket. And yeah, that was just one hell of a special day that I'll never forget.
And before we go on to that 2017 World Cup, I just wanted to know what involvement you had in the 2009 World Cup. Did you get to be around the squad, and did you see it, and did you engage in it at all? Because I think for me growing up, that was the first time I saw women's cricket.
Yeah, I was actually picked after that. I was picked in 2010. And yeah, my dad actually said, you've done well to get in the World Cup winning squad, because normally, after you win a World Cup, it's quite hard to get into a World Cup winning side. But I did watch that on TV.
Yeah, no, I just didn't know if you had any kind of involvement watching it from like a fan perspective as a player who wanted to kind of break into that side. Or
I've always been quite chilled. I remember back then I was always just playing cricket for the fun of it, and then whatever happened kind of. But I did think, wow, that would be amazing if I got into that squad, and then I did.
How did you find out that you'd made the squad?
I was on the beach in Sydney on holiday, and I had a phone call from Mark Lane, who was the coach at the time, and he said, Danny, we'd like to take you to India for ODI and T20 series. Would you be interested? I was like, oh yes, please. I remember ringing mum and dad that night, and yeah, I was absolutely buzzing.
And then now going on to that 2017 World Cup, the first match obviously didn't go to plan. So how did you bounce back from that? And just tell us a little bit more about that overall tournament experience.
Yeah, the World Cup, bit of a roller coaster. First game was at Derby, wasn't it, against India? And I just remember Smriti and someone else smacking it all over the shop. I was on the boundary, had a few balls go over my head. And we've in the past we've never done that well with our first game, like whether it be the first game of a series, first game of the World Cup, we always somehow lost the game. And we knew, it was a long World Cup. It didn't really matter if we lost the first one, just learn from it, park it, prepare, go well, and go again, and just take each game as it comes, is what we always said. And we always had our eyes set on being at Lords, and we just kept thinking about, come on, play. And our end goal was to be at Lords for that final. And yeah, we beat South Africa in the semi at Bristol, another close game. Jenny Gunn with the win. No, Anya with the winning runs, and Jenny was batting with her. And then there we were at Lords in the final. I didn't play the last 4 games of the tournament, which personally was disappointing, but it was fantastic to be a part of the squad. And those celebrations on the pitch and afterwards were very special.
Yeah, and that semi-final was quite a moment for everyone, that you guys were going to be in the final at Lord's, home crowd. And do you remember that moment that Anya hit those runs? Because that was insane.
Yeah, I do. I was had my bib on. I think there's a video of me with my bib on, and I jumped on Danny Hazel, and then someone else jumped on me. I've literally mounted Danny Hazel. And then Jenny and Anya came back in, and we jumped on them. And just moments like that is what you play cricket for. And I did think deep down, if we'd beat South Africa, we would beat India in the final, and we did.
Yeah, and then obviously you had that insane spell from Anya in the final. What was it like to actually witness that? And now you've got Anya down with you at the Vipers these days, haven't you? Playing.
Yeah,
so
Anya's a ledge.
What was it like to see that, and what's she been like as a player to have around just in the England setup for such a while?
Yeah, I mean, her spell at Lords was incredible, wasn't it? I know she had a tough time throughout the World Cup. Like, she didn't have much rhythm, as she said, and she did struggle a bit. And I mean, her resilience that she showed throughout the final. I mean, to come back and bowl like she did in front of a full house, and she literally backed herself, just bowled straight, full and straight, big in swing. And luckily she got, I think, 6 for that day. And I was straight over the advertising boards, ran straight into the middle of the pitch. It was like the best feeling I've ever had. Like, it was mad. And Anya's just been an incredible player for England over the years, and it's been a pleasure to play with her. And now I'm lucky enough to have her at the Vipers and at the Brave, and hopefully she can. I'm not sure what her plan is, but she's playing this summer for us, and we'll see how she goes after that.
And then just thinking about the competition as well, I've read a lot and heard a lot from players about having a social media kind of like silence, a complete switch off during that 2017 World Cup campaign. So were you on social media? Did you sneakily have a look, or did you completely withdraw it? And what impact did that have on you? Like, because do news reports kind of affect the way that you go and play? Do you get distracted by anything you see online, or are you quite good at shutting that off?
I actually forgot we did that. That was funny. But I think we had a meeting before the World Cup, because the hockey girls did it in the Olympics, and we all agreed that we should do it. And I think we all deleted the app. I'm pretty sure we did. I can't remember sneakily having a peek. And I think, some people do get a bit distracted by what people say on social media. It's so easy for people to write something negative, isn't it? And, in a World Cup, you can't really get away from it. So I think it is a good idea to actually switch off from social media while you're in a tournament. And I definitely didn't look at Instagram. I might have looked at the odd tweet, but I think, it's more individual. I think some people don't care what people say, which is me, and some people it really affects. So it's up to you, really.
And then jumping ahead to the more recent World Cup, obviously you guys went in as defending champions, and once again it didn't quite get off to the ideal start, or second game or third game. How was it dealing with that, and then having to bounce back from that? Because there is a lot of talk on social media, especially, and in the media, about those kind of things, saying England are champions and they can't win a game against X, Y, and Z. How was it coping with that, and then bouncing back to reach the final?
I mean, like I said, when you're in a World Cup, you can't really get away from it, especially when it's all over the TV and there's games on every day. And it's people's jobs to say things about about us. That's how I look at it. And we did struggle the first few games, but I think, you know, it was pretty tough few months that was, with the Ashes, the World Cup, living with restrictions in Australia and New Zealand, and yeah, everyone was going through their own little battles. I think it was just a case of, like, for me, I had to get out and do normal things, whether it be go to the beach, go for a coffee, get on those scooters and go down Auckland High Street and just get away from everyone, FaceTime home and just, you know, look at footage the night before a match and train really well. And that was my plan. I think a lot of the other girls are probably similar. And you've just got to accept that people are going to say things, well, that's their job. And I think, you know, we did have a few convos after those first few games because we did struggle a bit and we weren't playing anywhere near what we can play like. And we just said, right, we're just going to go out there and play for us, do the country proud, and what will be. And I think a credit to everybody involved, like, you know, for us to make the final was an incredible achievement after the way we started. I think to bounce back after the first few games was a credit to everyone.
And what kind of sacrifices did you have to make going into that? Because obviously you're on the road for 3 months for that stint, and obviously Christmas was perhaps a little bit different for you. And we saw people like somebody's dad was bowling. Was it Sarah Glenn's?
Yeah.
Somebody's dad was bowling to them in the nets, that kind of stuff. So preparation wasn't ideal. And I don't think people realised as well how much you really did sacrifice to put on the show.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Just things like that, you know. We couldn't have a normal Christmas. We had to be safe living because we were about to board a flight to Australia like a few days after Christmas. And then we had to do our own training. So I had my partner throwing balls at me in the net. Glennie had her dad batting against her. Heather had her partner bowling at her. And yeah, just things like that, really. And then we had the charter flight out to Australia, and then we had restrictions once we got out there. Like, it wasn't easy, and we had loads of different things to deal with, as well as the cricket. You know, you were playing in the Ashes and the World Cup, which is two of the highest tournaments you can play in. And yeah, I think we did exceptionally well looking back with how we all dealt with it. So I think we'll come out better for it, that's for sure.
And obviously you were away for a really long time. There was the Ashes, the multi-format. We had that insane test match, but you've not yet got to play in the whites, have you? How much would you like to play for England in a test match?
I'd love to play a test match. There's one coming up this summer, actually, in a couple of weeks. So I'd love to play in it, but we'll see. We'll soon find out, I guess. I mean, I've shown that I can play a sensible role. I've done it a number of times in the ODI format where I've needed to come in and steady the ship and knock it around, so I can do it. It's just whether the selection committee back me, so we'll see.
And obviously you have shown your versatility, you know, between T20 and 50 over, but also moving up and down the order. Is that something you think is going to play to your strengths? And what's it like to be sort of brought up the order to open when they're like, right, we need that explosive start?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of a settled opener now in T20 format. I've been opening for the last 4 or 5 years now. But the ODI format, I've been up and down all of my career. I mean, it goes to show that I am a versatile player and I can bat in whatever situation they want me to, which is a positive. Yeah, obviously going from batting in the middle order last summer, doing well there, to carrying on in the middle in the Ashes and then going up to opening in the World Cup wasn't where I thought I'd be, but when I got asked to do it, I said yes straight away, because, you know, that's where the best place to bat is top of the order in a World Cup as well. So yeah, I'll just keep going, keep working hard, keep scoring as many runs as I can, and wherever they want me to bat, I'll bat.
Just talk us through that century as well.
Yeah, I mean, it was the semi-final, wasn't it? And we batted first. I'm not sure if we won the toss or not, but I knew it was a good wicket at Christchurch. The sun was shining, big occasion, big crowd. I was excited. Lisa Kitely said to me, she was like, come on, show off, going to be on TV, there's going to be loads of people watching, you love a crowd. And I was like, and yeah, I just went out there, and I think their plan was to get me caught at point, so I had a lot of width early on, and in my head I was like, just hit the ball down. If they offer me some width, I'm going to hit the ball hard, but on the floor. And they just kept offering me loads of cuts, and luckily they were going on the floor through the gap. And then before I knew it, I was on 50 odd. And then I was losing a few wickets around me, so I kind of had to play a bit more. I had to rein it in a little bit and be a bit more sensible and knock it around. And then Sophia Dunkley came in and took the pressure off a little bit, and then we got a good partnership going. And then before I knew it, I was on 90 odd, and then got the 3 figures. And I think we ended up with 300 plus, which was a really good score in a semi-final. And bowlers backed it up with a fantastic performance, and then into the final we went.
Obviously, that then got you into the final, which was something you hadn't expected when the tournament, after you lost those first 3 games, but you were on the end of an Australian masterclass, really. I mean, there was not a lot that could have been done in that situation. What do you think it is that has made Australia so good for so long? Is it their backing their domestic players and having those contracts, the contracts in there a lot earlier than anyone else, and how we
I mean, they've had a great squad since I started playing for England, and they're number 1 team for a reason. They've got so much depth in their squad. They've got some of the best batters in the world, some of the best bowlers in the world, and they are tough to beat, but they are beatable, and I truly believe we'll beat them in the Commonwealth Games. Watch this space. But I think they all know their roles. They look like they just go out there and just really focus on their role, and it all comes together. Obviously, it makes them a really good team. And it pains me to say it, but they are a very good outfit. But I think with their domestic setup, it's fantastic. And I've been there and I've played there for a number of years. I've seen it. How they all train, and they've got so many professional cricketers below the Aussie setup, which is why they are one of the best team, the best team in the world.
So you're talking about kind of like the matchups and how they were trying to target you, trying to, get you to cut and all the rest of it to try and get you out. How much do you think performance analysis and players' cricket intelligence have improved throughout the years?
I think it's improved lots, but I do think, we play with and against these players all the time now, whether it be in the Big Bash and the 100, and everyone knows each game really well, which makes it exciting, I guess. I think, you can be best friends for a few weeks and then enemies the next month, which can be a bit weird sometimes. And I think players are constantly working on different skills and getting better as well. So, there's always something new to work on.
And you mentioned those domestic leagues. We have them all over the world. You play alongside these people, you play against them. How much has that changed during your career, and what does the future look like? Obviously, you've been part of the inaugural fair break, where we first probably met. Aren't you lucky? And all these things going on all over the world. What is that doing for the women's game and for your game personally?
It's so good. As I mentioned before, I mean, there's so many opportunities now all around the world, especially in T20s. You've got the Big Bash, the 100, Charlotte Edwards Cup, Rachel Hale Flint. You've got so much cricket now, and there's more professional cricketers in our country now, which is great to see and needed to happen. And the only way is up for women's cricket. I truly believe in the next 5 years it's going to be scary times, and I think we're going to have some real big cricketers on our hands. You've got the likes of Alice Capsey, Emma Lamb, Maya Boucher, or everyone that's stepped up on the big stage at the 100 and the Charlotte Edwards Cup as well. So it's going to be very interesting, and it's just great to have so much cricket now for myself and all the other girls coming through as well. And I do think I've learned so much about myself and about my cricket when I've been away in Australia, playing in the Big Bash, playing at fair break. You learn so much about yourself and about your cricket, and it's good to go and test yourself in different conditions, not just be in England. Because I remember my first trip to Wales, I was 18 and just got thrown into a new team in Australia. You've got to find your ways. You've got to find somewhere to live and do your own cooking and washing, which I never did until I was 18. And I think it's great to travel abroad and play.
What's your go-to dish?
Chicken chorizo pasta. I just love a pasta.
Need all the carbs for all the runs.
Carbs for days.
Just going back to fair break as well, you mentioned learning new things. What were those new things that you learned about your game and about yourself during that competition? And as a senior player and more experienced player compared to some of the other cultures that you played with, what did you give back to them as well?
Oh, it was so, honestly, it was one of the best trips I've had. Like, the people there were just so lovely. And the associate girls were just so willing to learn, and they weren't shy to ask me whatever they wanted. And yeah, for me, just to see how they are as people, like, they're just so grateful. Sometimes, we sometimes forget how lucky we are. So it was very humbling, actually, to be out there with, I think there was people from 25 different countries, and it was amazing to listen to some of their stories and their backgrounds of how they play. Like, there's one girl in my team, Tina from Germany. She plays cricket on AstroTurf. Like, they don't have grass wickets. So she was telling me that's why she doesn't run in and bowl quick, because she just she'll slip on a Astro wicket. So she has to just jog in and just bowl it. And yeah, there was a girl from Papua New Guinea who, well, I gave her one of my bats and some gloves, actually, because she was telling me how expensive it is for kit over there and how she struggles to even train. So yeah, it's just really nice to hopefully give some advice to them. And I said, if ever they want to contact me and ask, then I'm only a phone call away.
And what was it about your game that you kind of took away from that experience as well? What new things did you learn?
It was different facing slow bowlers on a pitch that didn't really bounce much in Dubai. So I guess for me, it's learn how to bat in those conditions if I ever go out there and play again. And actually captained a couple of games, and I've never done that before. So that was an experience. And yeah, I guess being a leader as well, and instead of just turning up and doing what I do, it was actually nice to give back and think about what other people need from me and how they'll benefit from me chatting to them. Hopefully they enjoyed chatting to the likes of me and Batesy and Marizan Cap.
And you were in the mighty orange of the mighty Vipers, still playing for the Falcons out there, and then it's back over to England, back to the cold rain, whatever it's been doing, and back to the Charlotte Edwards Cup, which we're recording this just a few days out from the Charlotte Edwards Cup final. What have the preparations been like going into this, and how are you feeling? Can you take it this year? And is it going to be a double for the Vipers this year?
Well, I literally landed from Dubai on the Monday night and played at the Aegeus on the Wednesday night. And since then, it's been non-stop travel play, the odd training session, which has been fantastic. And the weather's been all right as well. But it's been great to be back with the Vipers girls. And the girls are on fire. Like, we've got really strong squad, and it's tough to pick the 11 at the minute, not gonna lie. Feel for Gads and Lottie, but yeah, we've got training on Friday in Northampton, and then we play on the Saturday. But I know the girls are training together down south, and I've got England camp this week at Loughborough, so we'll come together Friday, train really hard, prepare really well, and hopefully lift that trophy on Saturday. Come on. And another thing, I've lost the last 3 finals I've played in, so we have to win on Saturday. I can't face another loss.
So if you don't win, it's all your fault, basically.
I know. I've lost the 100 final, the World Cup final, and the Fairbreak final in the last, whatever it is, year.
Yeah, we need to break that. But
yeah.
Just a final couple questions. Obviously, you're part of the Vipers in the KSL days and everything as well. So what does it mean to you to be a Viper?
Yeah, I love playing for the Vipers, and I think Lottie is a great coach. I learn a lot from Lottie, and just seeing the way the girls have improved over the last few years has been amazing to see. They're such great girls as well, and I know how hard they work. So, to see their success has been really nice to see, and it's an honour to be in such an amazing squad, and hopefully we can win on Saturday as well.
And then finally, just what is the best kind of advice you've been given, and what is the best advice you'd give to a young girl listening?
Best advice I've been given? Gosh, I don't know. Lottie, Charlotte Edwards, told me when I first got in the England team, she said, block the good uns, hit the bad uns. Like, literally keep it that simple. And I always remember that quote. That was probably the best advice I've been given. And yeah, I think advice to girls growing up, I always tell them to play boys cricket, as it toughens them up and you learn a lot quicker, I think, playing boys. And I always just say, go out there and enjoy it, and just do your best at the end of the day and play with a smile on your face. That's what it's all about.
Nice. Well, we like to round off these with some quick fire questions that are just more chilled. Okay, so what is Your favourite item at a cricket tee?
Cup of tea.
With sugar?
Yes, 2. If it's a big mug, if not 1.
Favourite sledge that you've used / heard?
More dots than on a darts board.
Favourite ground you've ever played at?
Lords.
Port Vale or the Vipers?
Port Vale.
If you weren't a cricketer, what would you want to do?
Be a footballer.
And if there was a certain footballer you could be wagged to, who would it be?
Oh gosh, I don't know. David Beckham.
Yeah, good choice. Best person you've ever played alongside
Carl Edwards.
and against?
India.
Funniest moment you've ever had on a cricket pitch?
When I was fielding at point against Sri Lanka and I noticed I've still got my training trousers on and everyone else has obviously got the right trousers on. I was like, Trev, I've got the wrong trousers on. And she had a go at me. So get off quick. And I was like, oh, okay. And then it wasn't funny, but looking back, it's funny.
What is the funniest rumour you've heard about yourself?
Oh God, I can't say it on air.
Can you give a roundabout idea of it and people can make their own inferences?
It was something about me and Didier Drogba, and that's all I'm saying. But I've never met the guy, so I don't know how that was made a rumour.
Last TV series you binged?
I haven't watched the series for ages. Oh, Dexter.
Are you a fan of Love Island?
Yes.
Favourite Islander throughout the years?
Chris Hughes, because he's a cricket badger.
Oh yeah, good choice. Go-to cocktail?
Sex on the beach. Very fruity.
Basically one of your 5 a day?
Yeah, so nice.
Night out or day drinking?
As I'm getting older, probably day drinking and then get to go home early. Have some food after and then go to bed.
And what is your one dream in cricket?
My one dream is to win the next Ashes.
Hannah, have you got any more?
I think you've summed it up perfectly. I think we've got plenty there to do. Unless you've got any final ones, Georgie, but
I don't think so.
no, I think we can let her
to be from Stoke.
That is not how I speak. But I'm going to have to go now because I'm going to Chesterfield to watch England under 21s.
Oh, fun. Lovely. Well, we will see you on Saturday.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Thanks for joining us.
Massive thanks to Danni for coming on and being a guest on the podcast. She is only the second World Cup winner from 2017 that we've had on. She had some really great stuff to say, especially her loyalty to the Southern Vipers, you know, playing for them back in the KSL days and still continuing to play for them now. Talk about loyalty. And we also asked her the important question, the one that you were all wanting to know. Who is Danni Wyatt's favourite Love Islander? And I'm pleased to tell you that it is the one, the only, Chris Hughes. And to all our listeners, if you want to keep up to date with everything that we're doing, you can follow us on Twitter at WCricketChat, on Instagram at Women's Cricket Chat, and if you want to give us a like on Facebook, we are Women's Cricket Chat. If you'd like to give our personal Twitters a follow, then it's at HannahT1194, at GeorgieHeath27, at CassieCoombs98, at Mehika Barshni, and I'm at Alex Jane Pereira. This has been Women's Cricket Chat. Tune in next time.